Hello. I think this is working. Is this working? 1, 2. Should be working. 1, 2. I mean, it's not giving me the bar thing. I just have to assume it is working. Cool. Hello and welcome to SquishiVision, which I'm having to do like this directly to YouTube rather than via OBS because for some reason my computer has now decided that the graphics drivers don't exist, which is not good for someone who does video stuff for a living. That's system failure. That's quite, but I guess that's something for me to fix. So I guess, yeah. So yeah, caught a bit on the back foot here. I just watched Picard Watcher. So this is my immediate thoughts. I've not had a chance to kind of delve through and nitpick kind of details and stuff. Just my immediate reactions. As an episode, it kind of, I guess, I mean, it carried the plot from the last episode. It kind of, I think, lost. No, yeah, that's a negative way to put it. It didn't lose the momentum of the series. It's just kind of like it didn't seem as kind of. It seemed like a middle-ish kind of point where we got from bits to bits. There were some things that were revealed, but it didn't wow me. So, although there are some bits I did like, I'll talk about that in a second. So, Raffi and Seven continue to try and track down Rios and find out he's being held by ICE agents. And so basically, it's interesting because Raffi was like just like not taking any nonsense, and then Seven was trying to be a bit more diplomatic, and neither of them seem to really understand how kind of problematic law enforcement is in the 24th century. In the 21st century, which makes sense when they're from 3 to 400 years in the future. So yeah, they're kind of like trying to handle that, and eventually kind of just steal a police car so they can look at the police computer. And then we see them. They're kind of about to hijack the thing, and basically a lot of the best bits of this episode actually come from Rios calling out the really problematic nature of American law enforcement and Western law enforcement, and we got some kind of actually really hard-hitting scenes there that kind of make you angry. And I imagine there's a degree of helplessness you feel when you're from the future. You got all this kind of you're used to having all this empowerment and all these abilities, and you're able to you're someone who's got you're having a starship. You've got a lot of kind of prestige to like fix things which are in the wrong, only then to basically be thrown into this kind of second class citizen space. And so if I can imagine how angry Rios can feel, then I should also be as angry in real life, because that's the situation that I'm in right now. I mean, not me personally, but I'm like someone who lives in Earth in 2022, and this stuff is happening right now. And if you're watching this episode and getting angry and not then transferring that anger to the actual things that are happening now, you're missing the whole point of Star Trek. This is like, this is kind of the examples of things I want you to see from traveling back to Earth 2024, them focusing on kind of aspects that are real and happening now, like this, and calling it out, like the fact that the guy's bullying this other guy into, the ICE agents bullying one of the people that got detained into signing a form to consent to being deported. The fact that they use excessive force and Rios, all that kind of stuff is the reality, and we're seeing it through Star Trek, seeing what Star Trek should do, and it's highlighting that. Picard can't get in touch with any of his crew, so he decides to go to the Watcher himself. And this part I kind of got lost a bit. Is this meant to be? This is the same. This is Guy then, right? I think we're meant to assume that's the case at the moment. isn't she meant to be looking? Isn't she supposed to be older than she is? Like, I can't tell if I'm meant to. I can't know if I'm meant to. I can't tell if I'm meant to see this as a younger guy than we've ever seen in Star Trek before, or if it's maybe the same Guinan that we, or an older Guinan to the one we saw in Time's Arrow. I can't tell because Time's Arrow was set in what, 1918 some things, like whenever Samuel Clements was alive. Can't remember his name, not the name of the year set. And she looked much older, and then we went to all that care explaining why she looked older in the first episode of the series, but not why she looks younger. Unless it's meant to be a younger one, but then how's it work in terms of the timeline? Unless it's time travel involved, from the case, but I don't know. I couldn't focus because that just kept pulling me out of what was going on. And then apparently there's some group of like kind of beings called supervisors, which I just saw in an article might be reference to the original series episode of Simon Earth, where there was someone who was a class 1 supervisor and had apparently similar fall-like effects when they teleported. But Laris is back and apparently one of the supervisors, which is strange, and I guess we're going to get answers to that. Q makes a very brief and enigmatic appearance where we kind of mumble words some stuff and then realizes he has no powers, and he's like, well, that's not good. And it's kind of, is this something that Continuum has done, or is it part of that kind of sickness that Picard alluded to earlier, the fact that he wasn't very well? And then I think perhaps the most intriguing part was Jurati and the Borg Queens sparring, and the Borg Queen trying to basically recruit Jurati as a Borg, and just trying to like navigate around that quite awkwardly. That's pretty much all that happened. And like I said, I think it was great that we got those kind of one-liners about how barbaric things are right now in terms of, the police and stuff. And like, illegal entertainment that happens in America, what are essentially camps that people are thrown in, and how that's not far from reality. That was, great to see and comment on. I hope they do much more, though. Like, I really hope we get something kind of more juicy from it. I need to go shut my cat a second. River! Oi! River! Oi! River! Oi! Stop. Sorry. He's trying to get into the wardrobe, which is where he sleeps. And he's normally allowed to, but he's got some medication on his fur. So I don't want him to get into my clothes. Well, that's the case. River! I'll grab you. Yeah. I don't really have much more to say, to be honest, than that. And I'm mostly distracted by the fact that my graphics cards are being problematic, which is going to be a problem. Hence the problematic part of it. So I'm probably going to go and deal with that now, actually, rather than what talk about this a bit further. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't much of so which kind of wowed me. I think mostly it was the Rios ice part. And he said the thing. He said, "I'm a captain whose job it is to explore strange new worlds and seek out new life and new civilizations and boldly go." Well, he didn't say that bit again. He stopped his poem. That was great. And a nice bit of kind of defiance towards the ice agent. And I really hope they get their comeuppance, because I think a lot of us need that kind of satisfaction and empowerment that you get in Victory, can get in real life. So kind of like a wish fulfillment. We see a bit more kind of Picard flashing back. And they commented on his accent thing, which is actually what I've been saying this entire time. So they were like, Picard was like, actually for like a couple of hundred years, and a couple of hundred years later, we didn't actually live in France. We moved to England during the Second World War, and we lived there for a whole bunch of time, and that's why our accents are English. Or he doesn't explicitly say that, but that's kind of the assumption. And it's like, well, that's what I've been saying all the time. Like, I mean, I don't know why it always threw people off that someone with a French name who lived in France has an English accent. If I'm somebody with a, Arabic name, but I'm ethnically Pakistani. If I went to Pakistan my accent wouldn't become Pakistani. It'd still be the same kind of general Northern English accent that I have. You know, and you know, there are people who like move from like France to England who didn't have children, and then their children, or maybe their children's children, won't have a French accent. They'll have an English accent, or they'll have like an English accent with a bit of French tilt to it. Like my accent's mostly British with a bit of Pakistani kind of tilt. At some words they say a Pakistani accent will come out, and it's kind of a mix of accents. But the world we currently live in, accents are getting muddled all the time because, you know, in the last generation we've seen like a massive immigration burst, essentially, where people like moving between countries more than they have done before, and travel is much easier and accessible than it is before. And so, you know, accents are going to become less and less defined. Like the reason accents were so defined regionally was because some communities spent their entire lives isolated from the communities. So I always say the entire time. I don't know why people got so confused about accents not being French, when it's like, you know, in the future, going between France and England, really the only issue should be the fact that everyone had such distinguished accents that were resembling 21st century accents in the first place. So on that rant, I'm going to end and address my alien computer. I mean, to be fair, I think I bought this in 2019, so it's kind of reaching the end of its life. Oh, hate it when computers do this. All right. Live long, prosper. See you next time, hopefully, with my normal setup. I can't do my credits, can't do my vanity screen. You're just going to have to trust you're not going to steal this content. I made myself laugh. Okay. Goodbye.